honored. I tell people this all the time before I speak. I'm from Miami, Florida, Carroll City, 27th Avenue, 183rd Street. And I grew up on the park, grew up on the block. And when you say goodbye to a man, you don't say goodbye, you say respect. Respect is the ultimate currency, not money, not jewels, but respect. And the fact that I have people on this Zoom call just trying to get better, I have a tremendous amount of respect for that. Some of the people on this call is very, very good. High-level coaches, high-level recruiters, people have had a tremendous amount of success in administration. That's very impressive that people understand that you got to evolve and you're trying to get better. So to everybody on the call, like we say in my hometown, respect. I'll start with this. I guess I'm supposed to tell my story first, and then we open it up for questions. I've been coaching 26 years. My first job was 1994, pre-internet. My first big signee was Moochie Norris. I had a beeper on when I signed him. Cliff Ellis used to page me. Who that paging up with? But I've been very blessed in the game of basketball, and I'm a different guy. I love basketball. I love people. I love the process of being a student athlete and helping kids change their life. And the reason is because basketball saved my life. The neighborhood I'm from, not a lot of people make it and doing successful things, and I'm not going to get into that, but I'm going to apply this to basketball because there's a lot of basketball people. My journey in basketball started in Miami with a group of guys that just loved the hoop. We had about a 4 or 5 park rotation. Played on Risco Park, Bunch Park, Scott Park, One Stop. On different days, that's where there was a game. Double rims and chains, 100 dudes out there. You win the 21 or you win the hustle, and you pick your team. Give me Itchy, give me Short Man, give me Gator Bowl, right? You pick your team, and with 40, 50, 60 dudes around the court, you got to stay on. What I learned about that is this. That's when people say you got it out the mud, that's where I really hone my skills to evaluate people, to evaluate players. I didn't know it at the time. I was just going to the park to hoop every day. On Monday we hit Risco. On Tuesday we hit Bunch. On Wednesday we hit Myland. On Thursday we hit Scott. You know what I mean? But being on the park and being around a group of guys and playing the game competitively, I would win the hustle, win the 21, and I picked my team. So guy was like, hey, get that guy right there. And I was like, nah, I seen him out here on Tuesday. He'll get us killed. You know what I mean? And so that's how I became an evaluator of talent and an evaluator of people, like who was about winning. And you had to kind of pick up on it in a short period of time. As you guys go through this journey of coaching, the best advice I can give you is learn to hone the skill of evaluating talent and evaluating success. Now, everybody is going to learn their own way. So now things have changed. Maybe you got to watch a lot of film. You got to go to a lot of games. You got to watch a lot of games on TV, all levels, all leagues. I'm a basketball guy. If the MEAC is on Friday and they're playing, and I don't have a scout or don't have a game, I'm watching it. I'm watching it. I'm going to evaluate that game. It's just in me. I can't help it. If it's a high school game on, I'm going to evaluate it. As coaches, and I would say that even to the administrators on the phone, if there's any administrators, ADs or whatever, I think they got to understand that when it's time to hire, that they need to hire somebody that can evaluate, find a diamond in the rough. Because most of the programs in the country are not blue blood programs, are not high level programs. So you're going to have to be really, really good at developing talent. Here at Florida State, and even though we have gotten to where we're an elite top 10 program, we still can't go head to head with Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, and Duke. We got to evaluate early, strike early, evaluate not what they are, but what they're going to be. Their character, are they high character gym rats? Are they winners? And then we got to make a decision. So from a basketball standpoint, evaluating is the key. My story is very simple. I'm a guy, I'm a firm believer that there's nothing sadder than a man that doesn't know who he is. I know who I am. In everything I do in the profession, I try to be authentic. And I think that's a very important part of being successful in coaching, in basketball, and in life. I'm Charlton James Young. I am from the Opelika, Liberty City, Carroll City Youngs. 16140 Northwest 28th Court. 20237 Northwest 32nd place. I represent my family, my last name, Young. And I'm proud of that. When I played, I was proud of that. And as a coach, I know what I'm representing every time I walk on the sideline. So you'll never, ever, ever, ever catch me trying to be somebody that I'm not. And I think that's one of my biggest strengths as a coach. I got into business. I was at Auburn for 3 years. I left there because at the time it was a restricted earnings coach or administrative assistant, and I was basically recruiting from the office, wasn't allowed to go on the road. So I was wanting an opportunity to grow and do more. So I took a job at Jacksonville University with Hugh Durham. I was there 2 years. I went to Northeastern University in Boston for 1. I left Northeastern, and they brought me back to Auburn as the recruiting coordinator. I was there 4 years, went to a Sweet 16 the next year. For whatever reason, we got let go. I had a critical decision to make in my career. I was offered 2 jobs, Billy Gillespie at Texas A&M, Seth Greenberg at Virginia Tech. I was at a point in my career where I didn't want to be known as the black athlete catcher. So I took a job with John Schumann at Chattanooga as the associate head coach for less money. It's the best decision I ever made in my life. The only reason I was able to take the job is because I sold my house in Auburn and made a good chunk of change off of it. So I was able to take a 50, 60 grand pay cut. Long story short, John Schulman gives me an opportunity to touch every component of the program. We beat Tennessee. We won the Southern Conference tournament, and we played Wake Forest and Chris Paul to a heck of a game. I brought 3 starters with me walking in the door. Really had a voice in every part of the program. And even with the exception of what we're doing here now, it's probably the most fulfilling year I've ever had in coaching. After 1 year at Chattanooga's associate head coach, the great Cliff Warren put the word in for me, and I go to Georgia Tech and I follow him with Paul Hewitt. I'm there with Paul Hewitt 4 years, and I get the Georgia Southern job. I'm at Georgia Southern for 4 years. I get a new AD, get a new president, and if anybody knows anything about this profession, that means you're in trouble. I love everybody. I ain't mad at nobody. I ain't trying to fight. I'm thankful for the opportunity, but it's just like when you get a head job. When you get a head job, you go to a new place. You may love the assistant coaches, whoever's there, but everybody wants their own people. That's part of the business. I leave Georgia Southern, and Jalen Hamilton calls me and says, "Hey, man, I've been trying to get you since you was 18. It's time to come home." God works in mysterious ways. When I got fired at Georgia Southern, my alma mater, I was devastated. I lay in my drawers 3 days watching Law and Order. It was out. My name just coming up on the bottom of ESPN over and over. Charlton C.Y. Young, 43 and 84, fired. I said, let's turn back to Law and Order. But coming to Florida State, I was blessed. I got a $50,000 raise to be an assistant. And when the smoke cleared, I understood that God had a plan for me. It was better for my wife and kids. Tallahassee, diverse school system, better school system. I realized that I might have even been a little selfish, being intoxicated by wanting to be a head coach. If I'm looking at it now with the kids being my age and my wife taking them to Statesboro, Georgia, that wasn't good for them. And I see that now after going through it. Coming to Florida State has been fantastic. Working for Jalen Hamilton, building an elite top 5 program, winning the ACC regular season title. I'm now in year 8. And the lessons I've learned along the way, I get $1 billion education every day on how to be a head coach and CEO. And the growth that I've had from the ups and downs have been phenomenal. I tell everybody this when I speak to them. They ask me about my experience as a head coach at Georgia Southern. I had some great moments, had some bad ones. I view it as a putt that's on the edge of the green that I was trying to get to go in, fall in there, this close. But what I learned was this. I was a heck of a head coach. I was a terrible CEO. And that's deep what I just told you. I was a heck of a head coach. I was a terrible CEO. And looking back on that, I see that now. Now, I pride myself on not being blurt, man. I tell people all the time, I don't get emotional. I read the data. So whenever I say something, I want to follow it up with data. I'm not going to just blurt something out. So, for example, being a poor CEO as the head coach at Georgia Southern. And this will be really good for some of the young coaches, because there's some guys on this line that's going to get head coaches soon. I see Russ Williamson. I think he's a future Division I head coach. I think JJ is a future Division I head coach. JJ and Russ may have to take a low to mid-major job to get their first one. So you guys really need to hear this. I take the Georgia Southern job, and this is a example of being a CEO. I have to raise a ton of money. I think I had to raise 600. No, I had to raise 500,000. So anybody who knows anything about this business, you got to raise 500,000. Basically, you're going to take some L's. I'm the head coach at Georgia Southern. I take over a program, 3 scholarships taken, an academic scandal, probation. I'm gonna say that again. That's probably why I got the job. I took a job with academic scandal, 3 scholarships taken, and probation. My first 2 games was against Darren Horn at South Carolina and Billy Donovan at the University of Florida. What am I doing? Can somebody tell me? Can somebody on this line tell me, what am I doing? Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what I mean? I'm a ghetto genius from Carroll City. I got these boys. They want me to raise 500,000. Okay, I tell them anything I raise over 500,000 comes to my pocket. I can give myself a bump. I can pay a quality staff. I can put 30,000 in recruiting. I can put another 30 in travel. I can put 15 in equipment. Now I can run a high major program at the mid to low major level and not be riding a yellow school bus and washing our own uniforms like a Division IX program. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, I don't care anything about my record. I know enough people. 27th Avenue, 183rd Street, baby need shoes. Year 4, I'm going to win this tournament. And I'm out of here. Terrible CEO-ship. What I learned from it is when you take over a destitute program, you play a destitute schedule. When you take over a bad program, you play a destitute schedule. You take over a mediocre program, you play a okay schedule. You get your program to a good level, you play an okay schedule. You make your program a great program, you play a good schedule. Protect your record. You don't take freshmen that you just came in with and throw them to the wolves and then be mad at them. I see that now. I look at a guy like Mike White, who's at Louisiana Tech. I love everybody. I ain't mad at nobody. I ain't trying to fight. Mike White goes from Louisiana Tech to Florida. He didn't play not one bye game at Louisiana Tech. He played Toe Crunch State, Pumpkin Pie State, Gourmet Popcorn A&M, head coach of Florida. But the boy was a better CEO than me. Now, there's several other CEO stories I can give you, but does everybody kind of does it make sense to you, especially Russ and JJ? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir. It makes a whole lot of sense.
It makes sense. Now, I'm telling you, see, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So when I walked into that as a head coach, man, listen, I could get the alumni fired up. I can get the student body out to the games. I could recruit with the best of them. I could game plan and scout. I can put individual instruction. Oh, I was a real deal. I was ice cold. CEO, lot to be desired. And I think that's very important for you guys to know. Now we're on mentorship. Now I was a hard head who thought I could do everything on my own. If I had to do over again, I would be aggressive to seek mentorship. I would put together a board of directors and I would call them. I had the people to call. I just was so confident, maybe overconfident, so focused. And I'm a guy, I'm from 27th Avenue, 183rd Street. My whole life, I've been too skinny, too black, too ugly, not good enough. So I got the JJ, some people got the Napoleon complex. I got the JJ from Good Times. complex. I wake up mad because I'm skinny. I think somebody think they better than me. So I compete at a high level. And as a CEO, you got to have total control of your emotional intelligence at all times. Jay Leonard Hamilton, I get $1 billion education on being a CEO. You're looking at a guy that makes great decisions because he's always in control of his emotional intelligence. You watch a game, you can't tell if we up 20 or down 20. You can't tell. A guy does something crazy, he manages the program with one line. I love you. I ain't mad at you. I ain't trying to fight. You miss class, Chief. You ain't playing. Okay, now. And I admire that about him. Have learned. Now, you know, there's a lot of young coaches on the line, and I think all the young coaches on the line, you probably a lot like me. You love the kids too much, right? When I was the head coach at Georgia Southern, I had been in that locker room and I had played that guy with guys that I've been drinking, I've been smoking. And now that we was 40-something years old, their life was in shambles. So I used to tell the guys all the time, I've seen the end of the movie. So when I saw a young man with behavior that I could tell wasn't going to get it, I felt pressure. So now, if his foot was a little bit this way and it should have been this way, I was on his head. I look back on that now, and that wasn't a way to approach it. My heart was in the right place, but I was using the wrong approach. And that's something, again, goes back to CEOship, being able to manage your team, manage your staff, manage your kids. It's a learning and a growth that you got to go through. When you take a job as a head coach, being a head coach and CEO, it's so important to study the CEO component. And that applies to an AAU coach taking over an AAU program, taking over a high school program, taking over a prep school program, taking over a college program. That applies to everybody on this line. You got to understand that, and you got to have the self-awareness to apply it. Because if you don't, you're not going to be successful. Back to my original point, I come to Florida State. I get a chance to help somebody do something that they hadn't been able to do and never done. I had to readjust myself and really understand and grow in terms of understanding the art of being an assistant. I would say this to the line, everybody on the line: love the game, learn the business. There's a lot of assistant coaches on this line. You got to know that there's an art to being an assistant. You got to wake up in the morning, look at the roof and say, it's not about me. It's about the program. And that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing. I wish I could go back and apologize to Paul Hewitt because I did a good job for him, but I could have did a great job for him. But I didn't quite master the art of being an assistant. For example, for instance, if he did something that I didn't agree with, I would get sideways with him. You understand? That's what young coaches do. They kind of lose their humility. And how dare you can't listen to me? I'm telling you, it ain't about you, Chief. This is his program. See, when you're an assistant, and Cliff Warren can attest to this, you sitting in that assistant seat, oh, you ice cold. Everything you say work. Oh, yeah, go zone. Oh, yeah, put him in. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Press. Oh, you move over one seat in that crock pot, you find out real quick. It's grown man business. and they on your head. You can't get away from it. Radio show, message boards, TV, you can't get away from it. It's very, very different. So because I've been through that, I think my relationship with Jalen and Hamilton is really good because I can stand up to him. I can go up to him during the game when things going haywire. And guys, I can say, listen here, Chief, they've scored 3 possessions in a row versus man. Probably want to look at going 35, go with your gut. And I sit down. So now he look at me on TV, he like, see, feel good. But if I walk up to him, I say, hey, Coach, goddamn. Guy goes over getting killed. And that. And see, that's what a lot of young assistants do. And they can't figure it out. And you got to understand, if you want to be successful in this profession, it goes back to controlling your emotional intelligence, but also understanding the art of being an assistant. And you got to accept, you know, I know what Cliff Warren did at Georgia Tech. He was a silverback gorilla, a monster. Recruiting, player development, lived in the gym with the kids, managed the kids in the city of Atlanta, kept them out the newspaper. Boom. He ain't get no credit for that. He ain't get no credit for that. I know, because I came there after him. So you got to be at peace, understanding that the more you give, the more you receive. It's the first thing you learn in the Bible. The more you give, the more you receive. It's going to come back to you threefold. Now, you ain't going to get your name in the paper. They ain't going to call your name. Listen, they just started calling my name this year. I'm shocked. You know what I mean? I've been beating these streets 26 years. This is the first time I ever seen my name up in lights. I am shocked. But that's part of being an assistant. And you gotta, if you want to be good, you gotta accept that. You gotta grow. You gotta be at peace with that and understand you're doing this for the right reasons and it's about the kids. Coach Sutton.
Yes, sir.
I want to take a commercial break, and I wanted to anything first before I open up for questions. I want to know if there's anything you need me to cover that I didn't cover before we because I do want to have some dialogue with the people on this phone, some high-level people on this line.
Yeah, no, you have touched on a lot of things that you and I discussed before in a lot of our different conversations. So right now would be a perfect opportunity to open it up to questions, because this is a dynamic group, like I told you before, and it's also a safe space, and they're going to have high level and questions for you. Okay, so I think we should go ahead and open it up right now, and the first question goes to Cliff Warren.
Cliff Warren, Georgia Tech University, Atlanta, Georgia.
You coach at Georgia State, Chief.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I just threw that in there just to make sure everybody was paying attention. Because I know you wanted to say Southern, not State. But anyway, so listen, I'm going to try my best to not get emotional talking about you, all right? There are 1,000 things that I could say I've learned from CY. Thank you, CY. A zillion things. But I'm going to say just thank you, CY, for being you. But specifically, when I got the job at Jacksonville, one of the first players that I got, his name is Marcus Allen from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I found out about him. I had never seen him play. I called CY. He said, absolutely. You got to take him. I'll help you. Boom. I got him. Just like I said last week, when I became the head coach at Jacksonville, and I called Kevin Sutton, and he helped me get a player. So we're all talking about trying to help each other. So if I never said it, CY, thank you for helping me get a 1,000-point score, an 800 rebounder, a guy who graduated in 4 years, found his wife, and he's a successful man, husband, and father right now. So I appreciate you turning me on to Marcus Allen.
Man,
My question to the group now I'm going a little sideways. My question to the group, and people have heard you speak before. They know you know silverbacks. They know you know gorillas. They know you speak about who's the juice. They know you call everybody chief. They know you talk about guys who are dinosaurs. I'm not sure if they know if you don't recruit players who like to do the windshield wipers when they get in trouble. They know, you mentioned it earlier, that I know how this movie ends. I'm not sure if they know that you got to get the butter from the duck. And you escaped Chirac. Those are just a few of CY-isms. My question, and please, I've never asked you this, where did you get all this from? Because it takes a creative mind. It takes an intelligent person to apply those things to everyday conversations.
I started off the conversation, I said, if you want to be successful, you have to be authentic. I try to think outside the box in everything I do. So growing up on 27th Avenue, 103rd Street, when I used to go to the park and I would hoop, if I wasn't playing, I commentated the games. So when everybody was out there, I would say, Ivan Sweet from 17th, off the window, book, he's cold. And everybody would go crazy. Or I would be like, let's go back from Liberty City, butter roll with the left. And everybody would go crazy. So in the game, when I was playing, I talked trash. That's what you do in Carroll City. And when I was on the side, I would commentate the game. Now, fast forward, I get my first job. And I'm at Auburn and guys are making recruiting calls. And I'm sitting there with these guys making recruiting calls. And I'm the administrative assistant. And they're recruiting this boy named Brian Williams. Brian Williams went to Alabama. His brother played with me at Georgia Southern. His name was Tommy Williams. Well, I'm listening to him talk to the kid. I'm talking to them. And so they would talk to the kid. I could tell the kid and the dad was basically trying to get him off the phone. Because they gave him the old, hey, how you doing? I'm Cliff Ellis from Auburn University. Nice to meet you. I want to recruit you again. We are the fine young man, this and that. Well, I know the family. I know them. And I can hear them on the phone basically saying, this is some bullshit. I got to get him off the phone. So as I'm sitting there, it's 1994, it clicks in my mind that if you're going to get anything done in this business, you can't be Tweedledee and Tweedledum. You can't just follow and do what everybody else does. You got to think outside the box. So Brian, I wrote a letter the next day, and on the outside of the envelope, and back then, right handwritten letters, was from Auburn. And right here, I wrote Brian the Juice Williams and an address from Auburn University. The letter got to him and he called me. Coach, I got your letter today. Brian the Juice Williams calling you. Coach, please tell them folks to let you recruit me. From that day on, I said I was going to be myself. I was going to be authentic, and I was going to always set myself apart from the competition. I just applied that. You know, a lot of people, when they talk to parents, they talk to fathers, they don't have a feel for them. But as soon as they answer the phone, I want them to know that's CY. That's Florida State. I don't want it to be no confusion. When they make that first, they pick up that phone, Hey, how you doing? Which coach is this? What school? Nah, that ain't gonna happen to me. When they pick up the phone, they're gonna say, Coach CY. And now I'm gonna start the dialogue and I'm gonna start the relationship. So I think guys who kind of understand that, Cliff, are the most successful. And in terms of the way I dress when I go into a school, the phone call, the way I recruit. A lot of guys see me on the road and they say, why he got on a sports coat? Number one, I'm ugly. Us ugly dudes got to dress up. You lucky I ain't wear my tuxedo and my combo bar. You understand what I'm telling you? But number two, respect is the ultimate currency. So when I was at Georgia Tech, Cliff, I would go into schools. I hadn't wore a shirt like this in a school in 22 years. If I go into a school, I'm dressed business casual. So what happened in Atlanta was I would go to Westlake, I would go to Southwest Atlanta Christian, I would go to Milton, and I would have the suit on. And it got to the point where I walked into school, they would say, the assistant from Georgia Tech is here. Just because of the way I present.
Hello, Waylon. Uncle Darius already sitting there. Come here, let me tie it up for you.
Who is that, Chief?
Go ahead, see. Go ahead.
I didn't know what happened. I didn't know if I got cut off or what. Hey, who is that, Chief?
Go ahead.
Tell Uncle Darius I said, what's up?
That's them street sweepers.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You need it. But hey, what happened was guys would come in, they would be looking for, and respect is the ultimate currency. So the principal, the guidance counselor, they would see me differently. So not to beat a dead horse, but when I first got into the profession, I was convinced that in order to have success, you got to think outside the box and differentiate yourself from the regular guy. And I think, in my humble opinion, it's been very successful for me. Good question, though.
Absolutely. Next question, Jay Card.
Thanks, Coach. Coach, I kind of had a statement and a question, and then you started talking, and then I felt like I had a lot of questions, but I would appreciate the time of everybody. One thing I did want to say is I really appreciate, I think it was the 1 year that you were at Northeastern, I believe the VCA, when it was intact, had their annual meeting in Miami. And I think that was right around 2000. And that's back when I met you. That's when I met Coach Warren and around those times. I just want to say I really appreciate the way you've been really transparent and open tonight, the way you were that night. I was just in my first high school job. I don't have a college coaching tree or nothing like that. And you being a Miami guy, I was with another coach, Mike Bradley, who's the assistant at Barry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you remember this moment, but the reason I wanted to bring it up is because it's really big to me. And so I think Coach Perry got done speaking, and there was a lot of bigwigs down there. Coach Thompson was there from Georgetown and this and that. And my boy Mike stopped you, and we started talking real quick, and and he was like, look, Coach, all these coaches are saying all these generic things about how to get in the business and how to move up from high school to college, this and that. And you had your suit on, you know what I'm saying? You had your respect currency, and you waited for everybody to clear out the room, and you just say, hey, listen, man, you want to go to the next level, man? You don't got to listen to none of this stuff, man. Start getting kids that you deal with now and now to the next level. And do that and take care of the kids and serve the kids that you got right now. And all those things will take care of itself. And I've carried that ever since, and I know Mike has. So I just wanted to say that. I wanted to ask you, I had another question, but this one I'm more compelled to ask you. You were saying you felt the pressure when you were the head coach to steer kids in a certain direction when you saw them doing certain things where you know where they're going to end up. And I think we all struggle with that at times, right? So I wanted to ask you what it is, if put in that same position again, you know, or going back in time, what you would do differently in terms of, you know, just beating them down. Because I think I've done that sometimes and then realized, you know, they just went in a totally different direction and I didn't get the information I was getting before or whatever. So I'm curious because it obviously is something you brought up. So I'm sure you spent some time thinking about it. But I also wanted to, it's two-part. I also want to ask you, like, you said you're so authentic being you, and I agree with that 200%. Like, when y'all recruiting Tony from us and coming to, when y'all practice in our gym, like, you just always, you have no problem saying what's on your mind and sharing and serving into folks. And a lot of that stuff that you say you got off the court, commentate and be able to relate to the players. But where did you get the other part of the stuff that's also helped you be successful in terms of just being the authentic yourself with like recruiting players and stuff like that? But where'd you get the professional part? Like, where'd you get the, you said that when you chose to go to Chattanooga, you know, you took less money, but you wanted to do certain things in basketball besides be, you know, the black athlete catcher. Where are those roots founded in terms of, you know, whether the way you were raised or coaches or whatever? Because I think that's what makes you really unique, right? Is that you're able to do both sides in terms of relate to the players and folks that have been there, but then also be able to make really sound decisions about your career and what it is you see yourself wanting to do and be. And I know it's a lot of stuff, but I ain't got to see you in a long time, Coach.
Well, you definitely threw a lot at me, but I'm gonna try to hit it as best I can. So, I'm a firm believer that the most successful people in this profession are versatile communicators. I think the guys that are really, really good and really, really special, they can go to the White House and have a conversation with Hillary Clinton, and then they can go across the tracks and talk to Itchy. Now, there's some guys out there that can go talk to Itchy, but they can't talk to Hillary. Then there's some guys that can talk to Hillary, but they can't talk to Itchy. The ones who can communicate with both are $1 million guys. So for me, I've always tried as a coach to be a versatile communicator, to look at the situation and say, okay, what is the best way to get the message across? Now, mentorship. Going from Chattanooga to Georgia Tech with Paul Hewitt was huge for me. I've been blessed to have certain guys come in my life. I think I've had the best mentors a guy could have. My first job was Cliff Ellis. My second one was Hugh Durham. My third one was, God bless the dead, Rudy Keelan at Northeastern. My fourth one was John Schulman at Chattanooga. Fifth one was Paul Hewitt. And then the guy who has really helped me take it to the next level and put it all together for me is Jalen Hamilton. So I learned a lot of what to do from each one of those guys, but I also learned a lot of what not to do. But Paul Hewitt at that time in my career really helped me from a professionalism standpoint and kind of helped me understand that, listen, you got a lot of raw talent, but you gotta project it and package it in the right way. So I got him to thank for that. Cliff Warren, you agree or disagree with that?
Agree, totally. I said to the group last week about Paul Hewitt being a mentor, and you said it best. You learn what you like to do, learning from head coaches, but you also learn what you don't want to do.
Right. And I'll tell you this, I feel like I'm 10 years behind in my development because I didn't evolve quicker. And like when I first came into business again, I knew I was good. Like I've always been a guy that believed in myself. You know, first time they saw me, they said, the boy weigh 124 pounds, he D3 player. Well, that killed me, right? Because I was determined to show people I ain't no D3 player. Not as anything against D3, but for me, that fueled me. So I played pissed off. When I came into coaching, I saw how the kids responded to me. I had the big blue and orange Auburn shorts on with the blue and orange joint. I'm talking loud. You know what I mean? And the kids loved me. And I knew that. But I had to evolve and understand that this is a profession. And that you had to have a sense of professionalism in what you were doing at all times, that you were always being evaluated. And Paul Hewitt helped me figure that out. My thing was, when you see me, you swimming with jaws. You don't hear that music, bump, 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 bump. You know what I mean? That was my thing when I first came to business. When y'all see me walking the gym, y'all know you got to tussle. I just wanted to compete. And I didn't handle that right early on. You know what I mean? As I got older, I figured out, you know, never let them see you coming. You know what I mean? And that's just maturity and growth. But I was almost too competitive, where I didn't build relationships where I should have, and handle situations the way I should have. And again, it's all about growing. You know, evolution is one of the probably the second most important word in civilization. Cars get better, shoes get better, TVs get better. You got to be getting better at a warp rate. You understand what I'm saying? And so I pride myself. 26 years, I feel like I'm just getting started, to be honest with you. I feel like I pride myself that I've gotten better every year that I was in the profession. I added something to my game. And to be honest with you, that's what's so impressive about Jalen Hamilton. You're talking about a guy that's in his low 70s. And he's constantly looking for ways to evolve. And, you know, not just to brag on Jalen Hamilton, that's why you got to have a tremendous amount of respect for Boeheim and Krzyzewski, Williams. You got to have a tremendous amount of respect for those guys, because the other guys from their era, Jalen Hamilton, Krzyzewski, Williams, the other guys from their era, they couldn't coach these kids now for 36 minutes. They'd be fired. I mean, I love Hugh Durham, but if you brought Hugh Durham back right now to coach these kids, would make it through a practice because he couldn't evolve. And so it's impressive to see these guys that understand that they got to grow and do it a different way and kind of evolve with the times.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Coach.
Okay,
Next
I hope I answered that.
Oh, you did, definitely. Next question, Rasheen David.
Coach Davis.
CY, what's up, man? What's going on?
Coach Davis always talk bad about me, man. Where you at, Coach?
real quick, man. You took my juice, man. I thought I gave Cliff this great emotional testimony last week, but you did a lot better than me. He is a good one, that's for sure. But as always, you always keep it real. You're always very authentic. That's one of the things I love and respect about you. My question for you is, you talked about your time at Georgia Southern, and you talked about not just taking any job. As you know, in this business, you know, we're not at liberty to just turn down jobs. And for some of the guys that's on this
totally
call
agree.
that have been assistants for a long time, if you get an opportunity to get a job, would the old CY still tell the young CY not to take a job if it's not a quote unquote good job?
Great question. And the answer to that is probably I would do the same thing I did before, no. But what I will tell young CY to do is make sure you keep your relationships and you understand that this probably isn't going to be a destination, a 25-year job. So you got to keep your relationships in case that thing goes south. Low to mid-major jobs, Iraq, are not set up for success. Cliff Warren, let me tell you this. Cliff Warren was a gorilla at Jacksonville. Did you know he beat Florida? So y'all probably don't even know
Listen,
that. Y'all probably don't even know that.
I worked with Cliff for 2 years, and I learned more in 2 years than I did 13 in the business. So I got him on a high pedestal. So
yeah, like he beat Florida. You know what I mean? I think he beat Arizona State in the NIT. You understand what I'm saying? And he was there 9 years. And at the end of that deal, there was nowhere to go. See, a lot of people go to Iraq and don't make it home. They go there and fade to black. I look at the guys that was in the Southern Conference with me. Chuck Frizzell was at Citadel. Next time I saw him, he was coaching a high school in the city of the Palms. He was a head coach at Citadel. John Schumann was at Chattanooga. He got out of the business. It took him years to get back to a Division II. Benny Seltzer was at Sanford. He been going from assistant spot to assistant spot. Jimmy Tillett, gone. You know what I mean? I can name 4 or 5 guys that was in those Southern Conference meetings. Buzz Peterson, he was at App State. He said, I'm done with this. I'm going to the league. Those jobs are not set up for success. You don't have the resources, the tradition, and the people, the administration at that level, to be honest with you. They're not quite experienced enough to understand it themselves. They're spending their time trying to get out. So if you take one of those jobs and you don't hit it in year 3 or 4, all I'm saying is you better have an exit plan. Matt Matheny at Elon, he was in the league with me. Really good coach. He goes there for 10 years. His run there is over. He can get another job. That guy deserves another job. But it's hard when you go to those level programs and you kind of fall off the grid. I started realizing, okay, this, and to be honest with you, I kind of learned it from watching Cliff. I said, okay, Cliff Warren was a monster. He beat Billy Donovan head to head. He beat Billy Donovan head to head. And he didn't get the opportunity that he deserved. It's just, the level is just not set up for success. So you need the head coaching experience. The head coaching experience was invaluable for me. But Georgia Southern hadn't been to the NCAA tournament since 1992. I took them. I was the MVP of the tournament. That's pre-internet. You understand what I'm telling you? I got some VHS tapes for your behind. You just ain't got no VCR. You know what I'm saying? But you won't come over and watch my VHS tapes. You can now. Come. So I say all that to say this. Young coaches, you take one of those jobs, you got to get the experience, but understand you better hit it in 3 or 4 years, or you better have an exit plan. How do you have an exit plan? You network and you make sure you keep recruiting at the high major level or touching those people so you can get a high major assistant job. You know, and that's a tough deal. The success rate of those low to mid-major jobs, they just not set up for success. When I say it's Iraq, it's Iraq. From the way your budget, the way you travel, the mentality of the people there, your facilities. But you do cut your teeth at that level and you become very, very good because you got to make $1 out of 15 cents. And if I was the administrator, I would look for people out of that level because I know that they are, if you are successful at a low to mid-major program, you're a really good coach now. You're a great evaluator. You're a great developer of talent. You're a great game plan guy because you don't have the same level of talent and you don't have the same level of character. Guys at this level at Florida State, they play because they want to be pros. They dead serious about this. Guys who play at the low to mid-major level, I would say 80% of them, they play because they want to get in the AKA party for free. Different mentality. And it's just the truth.
Yeah.
Now, every now and then you find a Ja Morant, you find a Damian Lillard. You know what I mean? When I was at Georgia Southern, I signed a 6'9" boy out of Sumter, South Carolina. Should have been a pro. Was ice cold. Man, that boy came to Georgia Southern. He saw all them little honeys down there. That boy started doing the stinky leg. He started singing music and painting. That boy ain't caring nothing about no basketball. But you bring MJ Walker in here, Devin Vassell, Terrence Mann. These boys come here, they like, coach, I need to get 20 minutes on Tuesday and Thursday on my offhand. I need you to meet me at 7 so we can get 250 J's. Can I get in at 10:30 so we can just get all floaters? Different mentality. And that's what makes that level so hard. But when like a guy like Forbes at East Tennessee State, that boy a gorilla. But he understands that level. Try to get old and stay old. Transfers, JUCO. See, when I took Georgia Southern, the president, and this is another thing now. This is another thing about rookie CEO. I take the job at Georgia Southern. The president is my right-hand man. The AD is my right-hand man. The president and the AD, they come to my house. They say, CY, you our favorite son. We just had an academic scandal. It was embarrassing. We don't want you to sign no JUCO players or no transfers. We want you to rebuild it organically. You our favorite son. You'll be here 25 years if you want to. Me being a rookie CEO, I know that Mike Curry and I are the only 4-year players in the history of the program. I know that Georgia Southern is built on JUCO players. But being a rookie CEO, I tell the president, AD, okay. So I go sign 9 freshmen and rebuild the program organically. Take them butt whoopings the first 2 years. I build it up to year 3, 4. New AD, the president retires after year 1. The new president fires the AD. Now he brings in his own AD. Now me and the AD beefing going head to head because I'm on the wrong side of the politics. Now I should have told the president, nah, I'm going to be the ACC, SEC South. You know how many dudes owe me favors? I'd have had Ryan Harrow would have never played for Georgia State if I was the head coach of Georgia Southern. But hey, Terrell Bell, all them transfers that's coming, all them boys would have been coming to Georgia Southern. And now I'm out of there. But a rookie CEO, I bring in 9 freshmen, listening to the president. Come on, man. But I learned, hey, I got my night glasses now. I see them. They'll never get me again, Chief. You got to go through it. You take one of them low major, mid-major jobs, anybody on this call, you get old, stay old. You sign you 2, 3 ACC, SEC transfers, 2 JUCO All-Americans, and then go to the U.S. Armed Forces game. Sign you a 6'8" man, 27 years old with a wife and 3 babies. Sign it. And now,
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Trying to help you, Chief. Listen, I'm like Tupac. I've been shot 9 times. I'm still here, Chief. I'm telling you.
See why the next question is from Russ Wilson.
CY, what up, Chief?
How you doing, young fella? Good to see you. Now, hey, Cole, that's a young killer, right? That's a young Thundercat right there. That boy, they're raw.
Hey.
Russ Williamson, he ice cold.
Appreciate
I know
you.
this is a baby.
Hey,
Kevin Murphy.
Kevin Killer.
That boy was a pro, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That boy was a pro, wasn't he?
Yeah. Hey, CY, he was at Georgia Tech at the time. I was at Tennessee Tech, and we were at the same game, and if the kid didn't qualify, he was going to put him in JUCO. And
I gave him to my man. I'm going to put him at Notre Dame prep.
yeah, he had 2 points the first half. He ended with 37.
Ooh, he was ice cold. And
He
my
got-
right-hand man, I had, I'm the juice in Atlanta. Everybody know that. But
Yep.
I got the high school coach was Brett Lewis.
Yep.
He was from Miami, Florida. I got him the job at what that school was, Sandy Creek. Yeah, I got Creekside. I got him the job because the AD was my partner from Georgia Southern. So I was running the school. So I said, listen, he called me 30 times. He said, CY, please give him to me. I said, okay, Chief. Boy was a pro, got drafted, second round. But go ahead, Chief.
Quick question for you. Obviously, you had a hell of a staff down there. Chris Kreider, Chris Capco, Steve, who's with you now, Persian. You talked a little bit about the CEO, okay? And obviously, us as young coaches, we've got this vision in our mind of how we want things to run. There's a difference in vision and putting it on paper and delegating it. And that communication side you were talking about. Can you kind of elaborate on, because you're a go-getter. Obviously, everybody sees that. So there's sometimes, and I feel like my personality is I'm a go-getter, that sometimes it's like I'll just do it myself because I know it'll be done right. But as a head coach, and as we progress in this business, young coaches on here, you may have camp. Well, you got to delegate to managers how to run camp. You move up, now you got baseline out of bounds. You got to delegate how you want to put that in. You may have, so as coaches, we learn going up. But can you kind of talk about when you moved up to that head coach, delegating those responsibilities and the communication process throughout that?
That's a great question, Russ. So let me tell you my thoughts on that, because that's deep now. Did everybody hear that question? Did everybody hear that? Now that is a great question. Bill Phillips, you better be listening to this. All right. So when I first became a head coach, I struggled with delegating. And what you need to understand about going to Iraq, in life, you get what you pay for. So you can't really pay a lot to your assistants at that level. So you are developing young coaches. Now, I'm proud of my staff, what they're doing now, because I trained them. They was my baby. Steve Smith, he was at South Carolina upstate. I stole the player from him. I felt bad. I said, young fella, I feel so bad I took that boy from you, but I had to have him. But I'm going to take care of you because you good. There was a boy named David Gonzalez out of Atlanta. He was about to go to South Carolina upstate, and I stole him from Steve Smith, and I put him at Notre Dame prep. And then something happened. I went somewhere, and I sent the boy to Richmond with the young boy that's at it. It's a young gorilla at VCU named Jamal Brunt. And so after that, me and Steve got tight. And but he was young. He was young in the profession. So then Chris Kreider, who is a gorilla like the Rain Man, I raised him. He worked for us at Georgia Tech. He was like a GA, like a secretary. He wasn't no coach. And he was really good. But Paul Hewitt liked him in that role of administrative guy. And I saw something in him. So I hired him. Everybody thought I was crazy when I hired him. But I knew he was the juice because I know talent. And so I had Steve Smith, who was young at the time. Now he's a superstar now. But Chris Kreider, who was young. Capco he had been fired at 2 different places. And I got him and I started training him. So when you take those jobs, you develop in young coaches, just like you develop in the players. So it makes it hard to delegate because you still training the younger coaches. And this is what y'all gonna have to understand when you take a job. JJ, I see Lamont on here. He's a Division I head coach. What's going on, Chief? I didn't know you was on there. Lamont Franklin. I like that boy. Hey, man, I wish I could grow that. I'm very jealous of that coach. I'm 49 years old. I can't get mine to connect. That's cold. But so back to my original point, you're training young coaches. So what happened to me, Russ, is a good question. I had a gorilla staff year 3. I got them boys where I needed them. Now I'm the coach of the year. But then I had to get Steve Smith the Clemson job. And Kreider got the George Mason job. So now I'm trying to replace them boys that I trained, but I can't find them. And that year 4, I make one bad hire. I'm working at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's so tough about Iraq. You want to delegate, but Russ, if you take the Tennessee Tech job, the guys that you're gonna be able to afford to hire, you ain't gonna be able to delegate to them guys right away. You're gonna have to kind of groom your staff. But now, Jalen Hamilton, he got Stan Jones. The boy is a gorilla. 35 years. Steve Smith, this boy, he a gorilla coach. So he can be a CEO and run a Fortune 500 company. You ain't gonna be able to do that if you take the Delaware State job. And that's the challenge of Iraq. You're gonna have to understand that as a CEO, because your top assistant at Delaware State, what, he gonna make $34,000? And the second assistant gonna make about 26. So you got to get one of your former players or somebody that you could trust. Iraq Roscoe, Cliff Warren had that problem. Cliff, how much was your top assistant making when you
it's
first
about
got?
that. See why you called it? It's about that, right? You about right. You about right.
That's about it, right?
That was Skeeter.
See, when you're a young Thundercat, you don't know what you don't know. You got a head job. You coming in there saying, I'm gonna delegate to a guy that has no experience. Ain't nothing worse than a rookie heart surgery. If you about to get heart surgery, do you want to go to the guy and say, listen, I'm about to work on your heart, Coach Williamson, but I just graduated. I got an A- average. But this is my second heart surgery. Do you feel comfortable? Now, Russ, I got an A- now. I got 94. Or you comfortable with the guy that's been doing this 25 years, and I've done 300 of these surgeries. Now you like, whew, okay, go ahead, knock me out. Tough deal, Coach. Good question, though. Good question.
Next question, Hadley. Hadley on here. All right, moving on. Next question, Caitlin. Caitlin.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Head coach CY, Caitlin Benedict here. When we talk about loving the game, I immediately think about the purpose of coaching, and for me, it's using the game of basketball or really any sport to develop athletes, not only physically but also personally. And one thing you said earlier, and you've also said it on a podcast that I listened to, but there's nothing sadder than a man who doesn't know who he is. So how do you help your players uncover who they are and then put them in positions that continue to stretch them?
That's a good question. I think from a basketball standpoint, it's nothing better than film. I'm a film guy. My players, my staff, even Stan Jones. Stan Jones ridicules me all the time. Coach, you in there watching them games over and over and over again, Jesus, right? I watch 3 games a day. Everybody knows that. So while I come in and I'm making recruiting calls, on my TV right here, I sit right here while I'm making calls and I watch games. I start from the first exhibition and I watch it all the way in succession. And then when I get to the end, I start over. So in terms of player development and being able to help the kids, I almost know the entire season by heart. I can tell Raekwon Gray in the 13-minute mark at the Wake Forest game on the road, you ran him over going right. You didn't want to use your left hand, right? So through film, from a basketball standpoint, you can teach them who they are, but evaluating them every day and how they handle the kind of teammate they are, you can kind of determine what kind of person they are and start steering them in the right direction. Does that make sense to you? Because I'm a firm believer that championship people win championships. So from a basketball standpoint, you got to be pushing them to understand who they are, what their strengths and weaknesses is. Film is the best way to do it. But then you got to be constantly evaluating them as teammates and team members, how they act. For example, we got a bus, hey fellas, we leaving for pregame shoot around. Bus leaves at 2:30. All right, now if you got a player that's always getting on the bus at 2:29, you need to pull that player aside and say, listen, this behavior right here ain't good, okay? Because if you really care about winning and being the best you can be, this bus leave at 2:30, you here at 2:20, 2:15 on the bus. And people who go last second like that are usually lazy, sorry people, you know what I mean? So the thing about basketball that I love is I can watch a player and see how they practice and conduct themselves. And I can tell you if he or she is going to be successful. I can watch their behavior, the ones who show up early, stay late. They understand that everything you learn in life to make it, you learn in kindergarten, please, thank you, you're welcome. Okay, that player right there is going to be successful. Now, they might not be that good at basketball, but they're going to own Starbucks, right? Or they're going to own 22 car dealerships. But then there's some that's always talking back, don't respect authority, late. They probably going to be selling slushes at Circle K. And you got to tell them, now listen, I love you. You know, I'm going to come buy some slushes from you. But if you don't change your behavior, I seen the end of the movie now. I see where you're headed. And I think that's a big part of your job as a coach, that you got to evaluate them constantly as teammates and team members. And you got to help them understand what successful behavior looks like. Does that make sense to you, baby girl?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great question, Caitlin. Next question, David Bentley.
CY, what's up, man? Appreciate you sharing with us.
Coach.
My question is, as a young coach on a prep AAU circuit, looking to move up, you hear advice that says, Dave, man, don't hook yourself to a player. You know, it's not the right thing. It's their decision, all that. And then if the player gets up to that level and the coach, he don't work out or he's got issues, then the coach is going to look bad on you. And then you hear other people like, nah, man, Dave, screw that. If you can ride a player, ride a player. What would your advice be in all the years you've dealt with that?
So my advice would be that if I was you, I would never want to ride a player to a destination, ever. The guys who do it successfully, they usually last about 2 or 3 years in the profession. I think for you, if you want to move up to the next level, you got to do a good job of building relationships and evaluating. And you gotta pick about 5 D2 coaches, about 5 low major head coaches, about 5 mid-major head coaches, about 5 high major head coaches, and you gotta help them by identifying talent early and maybe even pushing them towards that direction. And eventually, if you get a reputation for being a great evaluator and having people skills and be able to help people, then somebody's going to hire you. For instance, the reason I'm at Florida State right now is when I got fired at Auburn, I had signed a kid by the name of Tony Douglas. Tony Douglas was from Jonesboro High School in Atlanta. His mama was from Miami. She went to Miami-Jackson. She went to Mount Carmel Baptist Church. I was born and raised in St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church, Liberty City. They were sister churches. Our church was so raggedy in the hood, we didn't have a baptism pool. So when you went to St. Mark, when you want to get baptized, you got to go around the corner and get baptized at Mount Carmel. You follow me? When I got fired at Auburn, I had signed Tony. And I called Jay Leonard Hamilton on his phone. I said, hey, this CY, I know you don't know me no well, but I got a gorilla in my pocket. His name is Tony Douglas. I want him to come to you. I don't need no money, and I don't need no job. I'm going to Chattanooga as the associate head coach. Jay Leonard Hamilton said, what is the boy? Is he a 1 or is he 2? I said, don't worry about it. He is a gorilla. Take him. I set him up with the mama and the daddy. Long story short, Tony Douglas comes to Florida State. He sits out a year, becomes the ACC Player of the Year. Now, when I signed Tony Douglas, nobody wanted him. He was ranked number 299. He played on a little raggedy team, his daddy's team, the Harry Douglas All-Stars. But I knew he was the juice. After I sent Tony Douglas here, Jay Leonard Hamilton called me every week saying, where's the next one? Where's the next sleeper? So now, even today, to Jay Leonard Hamilton, if I say the sky is pink, he say the sky is pink. You understand what I'm telling you? So what I'm telling you is, you got to call Lamont Franklin, and you got to say, this Coach Bentley, listen, it's a sophomore down here that nobody know about. And I'm telling you, he's ice cold, high major minus player. Get on him. Now, Coach Franklin, he a young gorilla. He gonna call right away. Now, your reputation on the line. If he call down there and the boy can't play, then guess what? He ain't taking your calls no more. He gonna send you emails. But if the boy is the juice, now guess what? Lamont Franklin saying, I gotta call my street sweeper, David Bentley. He know what's going on down there. I know that because that's why I hired Steve Smith. Because Steve Smith used to call me and he said, Chief, listen to me. It's a gorilla down here named Chris Middleton. 6'7", shoot the blood out of it, slow feet, not a great athlete, but I think he's a pro. I go down there at Georgia Tech. I said, I like him. Paul Hewitt like the press. I ain't gonna take him. The boy go to Texas A&M, he's a pro. Steve Smith told me. So now when Steve Smith called me, I said, whoa, this is my young street sweeper here. What's going out there? What's going on out there, young Thundercat? So now when I have a job, guess who I hire? Steve Smith. It's a direct correlation. And that's what you got to do for D2 schools, for JUCOs, for low D1, for mid D1, and for high D1. That's how you build your reputation. But the kicker of it is this, Bentley. You got to deliver a player that's one league better than who you help. Worst case scenario, they got to be top 3 teams in that league. But if you send a player that can't do it, see, when you at that level, the worst phone call you can get is, hey, this is David Bentley, Coach Franklin. You know, I got a player that can play at your level. You ain't my friend. If you calling him, you supposed to say, hey, I know you at the U. I got a pro for you. Now he like, shalom. You understand? So if you want to get into coaching, you got to build a reputation of being a great evaluator and help somebody. See, I have young Thundercats call me all the time. Give me a job. Give me a job. Give me a job. Give me. See, you ain't helped me with nothing. When you gonna help me? Because I promise you that. I help so many people, man. I tell them, listen, I'm the juice on this now. Keep me confidential. Cliff Warren telling the truth. Marcus Allen, the mama is from Carver Ranches. She's go to church with my mother, Ebenezer. So the mama, I call and say, listen, I think he had Stetson. He had one more little one come in late. I said, listen, he got to go to Jacksonville. She said, got to go to Jacksonville? Got to go to Jacksonville. She trusted me. So if you want to get in the profession, this is what you got to do. You understand? Russ Williams, there's 2 people on this phone that can tell you I helped him. I delivered Russ Williams to the pro. So now if I call Russ, I say, hey, listen, I got a gorilla for you. He see my number. I guarantee he's going to pick up that phone. I guarantee. And that's how you got to get it. But a lot of young Thundercats, they don't understand that. They just call people, say, give me a job, give me a job, give me. See, it don't work like that. Make sense, Coach?
Absolutely. Appreciate you, CY.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question. We got 2 more questions for you, CY, then we'll close it up. Next question, Robert Brenton.
Hey, Coach, man, really appreciate you, and especially keep going back to evaluation. Coach, I got to speak to one of your former players, Trent Forrest, and I asked him what were your top 2 traits. He said experience and openness. I'd say he hit that on the nail, hit that nail on the head, and it was kind of based on a small piece of advice you gave me when I first got in the game, and you were just talking about, hey, you be able to teach your kids how to shoot, or you ain't gonna be able to keep your job. How do your experiences and ability to being open to sharing those with people you work with and others do not know, or excuse me, how does your experience and ability to being open to sharing those things with people you work with and others you do not know to help you succeed with those relationships of people you lead and mentor?
Hold on.
All right.
Okay. Give me the last part of it because you lost it. I got the first part. I didn't get the last part. Give me the last part.
I got you. So it's how does your experiences and ability to be open with sharing those things help you succeed in relationships of people you mentor and lead?
Okay, good. That's what I thought you said. So here's my philosophy on that. My philosophy is I try to treat everybody I meet like they're going to die at midnight. Because you never know. When it comes to players, I want to give them everything I have that made me a really good college player. And then I want to give them everything I could possibly give them that I didn't do, that I wish I did. So I feel like I can make an unbelievable impact in each player because I'm giving them the things that made me really good, but I'm also giving them the things that I didn't do that I wish I did. Now, in terms of meeting people, I'm going to say this to you again. I try to treat everybody I meet like they're going to die at midnight because you never know. For example, for instance, and I'm going to try not to make it long. I'm at 5-star in 1988, right? And this is a true story I'm about to tell you. I'm at Radford, Virginia, 5-star, 1988. Big time players there. It was for AAU, all the real gorillas right here. You know what I mean? Allen Houston, Monty Williams, Bobby Hurley, Kenny Anderson. We all right here. You ain't on Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. All the gorillas is right here. So during the break, you go to the canteen. You know what the canteen is? Like the concession stand. Little short white dude. He's in there. Every time you go there, he says, hey, man, Miami Flash, who's recruiting you? Who's recruiting you? You know, he's selling Doritos, Cheetos, strawberry soda. And, we talk trash to him. Man, you asked me that all day. Same schools, man. South Florida, Tulane, Miami, Wade, Columbus. Who's recruiting you? Who's recruiting you? That's what he asked everybody. That was his thing. Little short white dude was a manager at Indiana. Fast forward 20 years later, I'm on the couch, half asleep, watching basketball like I always do. I see this little white dude. He stands up. He's coaching the New Jersey Nets. I say, oh, shoot. That's who's recruiting you. Long story short, it was Lawrence Frank. The boy in 1988 was selling Doritos at 5-star. They wouldn't even let him coach a station. Now, Billy Donovan was there. He was at Providence. He was Coach Pitino, Jerry Wainwright, Stan Jones. Stan Jones was a high school coach. He coached me in the All-Star game. But who would have thought that the little short white dude selling Cheetos in the canteen would be the head coach of the New Jersey Nets? So I say all that to say, treat everybody you meet like they're going to die at midnight, because you never know. You understand? That makes sense to you?
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the last question for tonight comes from Sharif. Okay. Sharif?
He probably got tired, Coach. It's late. He probably went to get something to eat or something.
He got tired. He got tired.
I was talking too much, Chief.
Nah, you was dropping way too much knowledge. First and foremost, CY, thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing with my Living Trophy Master Zoom class. Always, you always share your knowledge and you share your time. Really, really respect you for that. But before you go, can you just tell us what it means to be a new blood?
Man, that's a great question. Last 8 years we've been trying to build a powerhouse program here at Florida State, and probably over the last 6 years we started realizing that we could win a national title, and so we started recruiting that level player and athlete. Well, the biggest challenge you have in going after that level player is once you get down to the nitty-gritty, the high school coach, the AAU coach, or the parent, somebody in his camp is going to tell him, hey, listen, you need to play for a blue blood, which is Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke. So we got to the point where we realized they don't want to let us at the party. So we got to kick the door in and make our own party. So we named ourselves the New Bloods. So every time we was in a home and somebody would bring up blue bloods, we would say, screw the blue bloods. We new blood. It's 2020. Nobody don't care about what happened in 1963. It's a new time, new era, and we the new wave. And it's getting, Coach Sutton said, hey, we were on the phone before you guys came on. It's giving us an identity that's really helped us with kids and parents. And so that's our deal. That's who we are. And we're proud of it.
Absolutely. See why, man, I'm confident that our Living Trophy Master Zoom class, which we call our tribe, got better tonight. You dropped nuggets, and they picked them up and they understood it. And you did it in such a way that was truly authentic. We really appreciate you coming on. I value our relationship, our friendship. You're working on a great staff with one of my best friends, Stan Jones, and I know Jay Leonard Hamilton, is definitely top level CEO. And he's got an awful lot to be proud of because you are evolved into who you are and deserving of every award that comes your way. But thanks so much, man, for coming out tonight. We love you, respect you, and like we always part, black man respect. So if you got any call to action, man, just go ahead and drop that nugget, and we really appreciate your time.
I just want to say respect to everybody, every single person on the call, seriously, and God bless and keep grinding, man. The most important thing is just to have the ability to show up every day. And if you just have the ability to show up every day, sooner or later, your time gonna come. And everything happens for a reason, man. The people that's on this line, I know everybody's in different points in their careers, and you fight, and trust me, I'm in that fight, and I've been in that fight. But if you just show up every day and keep working, your time's gonna come. I want to make sure I tell each and every one of you that on this call.
Well, we appreciate it. Hey, thanks everybody for coming. This was so enjoyable, so enlightening, so powerful, and very, very informative. Appreciate you, CY, for your time. I appreciate everybody for coming out, and we will continue on next week with our part 3 of the mentorships. Love the game, learn the business. Always stay blessed, stay safe, and stay focused on what we're trying to accomplish. All right, I'll talk to everybody later. Ciao.
All right, Chief.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, now, respect.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you,
Appreciate it,
CY.
Coach.
Thank
Kev,
you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, man. Yes, CY. Blessings.
See why I'm just want you to know I took a whole lot of notes down here. Getting your secrets, brother.
I know it, man. But hey, if you beat me on one, man, hey, I'm gonna give you a big hug and say respect. You know what I mean?
Man. Always a pleasure.
Yep. I enjoyed it, and I hope I helped everybody.
No, you did, brother.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Be blessed.
Coach.
Yes, sir.
No, I said thanks, Coach.
Oh, okay. Sharif, you had technical difficulties? Still frozen, huh? Russ, you good?
Yeah, I was gonna stay on, chop it up with you for a minute.
Okay, good stuff. Bill, how are you? Everybody's good? Duvall? Good stuff.
I'm good, Coach. Okay, Sud, I want to tell you one of the things that CY said tonight when you get your first job, I thought was probably, for me, it was one of the most important things he said. It was at South Alabama. It's why we got fired. When you take a job, you got to know the history